Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Thursday, January 22nd. I know I usually point out significant episode numbers. Earlier in this week, we were on episode 250.
We were.
Yes. So 250 episodes for last year and then starting into this year. I always think that's fun just to point them out because that's how long we've all been here together on the different platforms. So I think that's fun because we're on this wonderful personal development journey together, and it's great to see how far we've come. Sometimes when we're on the journey, it's difficult to see our progress. Every day, even if we're taking a step forward, we can get so used to where we're at that a one step forward doesn't seem very big. But then when you start to add them up, we actually find out we've come a long way. So I feel like we've come a long way from episode 1 to episode 250.
And 250 doesn't count those years on Patreon.
That does not, because there were like 400 some on there. So we're a lot
We've made a lot
further
of podcasts.
along. Yeah, we've made a lot of podcasts.
And you know what's so fun for me?
Fun.
Well, I was just going to say, you know what's so fun for me is I don't know if there's a day. Maybe there's a day, but at least once or twice a week, we will get up from our microphones, be finished with that podcast, and you'll say to me, "Oh, that was fun." And you say that so many times, and I'm thinking to myself, I love it and I think it's fun, but it makes me feel happy that you think it's fun.
It hasn't stopped being fun. It was fun the first day. Well, maybe the first day was kind of stressful because we didn't know what we were doing. But once it got fun, it stayed fun for me. And also the fun of personal development, what I'm chomping at the bit about from yesterday.
Oh, yes, you're still
I'm
chomping.
I'm still chomping. So you mentioned that the pattern that you recognized was not speaking up. It was more than you didn't want pie. That was the form the situation took. But the true content, the feeling underneath the form was another area of life maybe that you weren't speaking up and stating your needs.
Yes.
What I think is so fun about going on a personal development journey with someone you're close to, like you as my mom, we are a lot alike. We don't always like the same things like movies and music and whatnot, but we are a lot alike. That has been a struggle for both of us, where we do know what we want, but we don't speak up about it. And it's been nice because we are a lot alike. Then we try to pull the truth out of the other person.
We'll help one another feel safe because there are some situations where
good way to put it.
Well, and there's some situations that you can't. There's not that emotional safety factor, so you really can't speak up for your needs. But if I put my situation under that category, I would be being unfair to myself and a lot of people because I could have spoken up using that work group. Of course, they would have just said, "Oh, well, Annette, we'll help you." That group would have said, "Well, we'll help you." And I'm sure maybe there's a few others that didn't want to have pie every Friday either.
And that's what we are for each other. Like I'll say something or you'll say something. Then one of us say, "Are you sure? Do you really want to do that?" And then after a few minutes, it'll come out, "Well, I didn't want to disappoint you. I wanted to be a good business partner, but no, I didn't really want to do that. Or I really want to do this, but I didn't know if you wanted to, so I wasn't going to." And we say, "Oh, it's fine. That's fine. It's whatever works for both of us. That's what we want to do."
We had that more early on, don't you think? When we were working together as opposed to now, I think that happens less frequently.
It does happen less frequently. Yes, it happened a lot at the beginning. But I think it doesn't happen because we do know each other well enough that we can spot it. And then also we've learned, yes, we are safe for each other on all fronts. And we don't have to try to soften things or try to guess about what does the other person want. We've created this nice space of emotional safety that we both can be honest.
We all need safe people in our lives.
We do. And the majority of people that are in our lives, like voluntarily, or that we're choosing to have in our lives, must be safe.
They must be. And that sounds like maybe a tall order, but of course, we're going to have coworkers, we may have a boss, we may have a neighbor, people that we do have contact with regularly that aren't safe. However, for the most part, the people that we have closest to us, they must be safe. And even if there's safety, but neither one of you have done personal development work, as long as you're both kind of on that journey and on the path of doing personal development work, then you can learn to bring safety into the relationship. I want everyone to know that even a relationship that has had some very, very unhealthy patterns, I believe in healing. I believe that all relationships can be healed as long as we're all bringing that emotional safety in. And when we stumble, we apologize, we work hard so that everyone is seen, everyone's heard, and we start cultivating this environment where authenticity and compassion are the norm.
And to do that, we have to, whether it's go within to ourselves and listen to what life is saying to us, what our hearts are saying to us, or listening and being honest about our experiences without editing them. And what I mean by that, and Annette, you jump in here at any time because we both have, I wouldn't call it a pet peeve about this. We both are shocked in some ways when we witness this. Editing means that we know the truth. We know how someone has treated us and how it's felt inside. And then we tell ourselves something like, oh, it wasn't that bad. They were just tired. They didn't mean it.
They were going through a bad time.
And how many bad times can someone go through? Because people will say this to themselves about everything that happens. And this is where the challenge comes in when it comes to listening to ourselves and noticing what's alive in us and aligning with our values and our authentic self. If we're minimizing what's happened to us, if we're giving someone excuses, if we're giving ourselves an excuse, what happens then is we never really get to the honest truth about our experiences. We can start to share, and this is what we see in coaching. People start to share, oh, this was awful. It just broke my heart. It hurt my feelings. And you give them enough time and, oh, but they didn't mean it. Stop before it gets to they didn't mean it. Just stick with the first part of that. It broke my heart.
Well, it's what our mentor always tells us. We can't heal, we can't make changes in our life if we're not going to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a lot of courage to be honest.
It does.
That's why people backpedal.
Because it hurts so much.
Well, and it also can be a little scary. Like, I'm actually saying what I really feel. I'm actually saying what really happened. That can feel scary, especially if we haven't done it. So we do want to work toward being more honest and saying, yes, this was heartbreaking, and stop there.
And feel those feelings. If you need to cry, I'm pro crying. Cry if you need to. Share with a safe person or someone who is in a supportive role. Also, don't compare your experience to others. That's where people can say it wasn't that bad because they hear about someone else's life. Even you mentioned earlier this week, like, oh, my life, I can't remember your exact words, but you weren't doing this, but you kind of said something that people say like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Like, I made it through, so other people didn't. They have it so much worse than me, so I shouldn't complain. It's not complaining. It's listening without editing. And that's the only way we can really hear those patterns. It's the only way we can hear what's alive in us and listen to ourselves. The moment we start editing, the moment we start making excuses, that's when we actually stop listening and don't hear the truth of our experiences. So our intention for today is, I will listen to myself without editing. I will listen to myself without editing. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.